guys, today we are going to be testing out a new indie brand, and I feel like this is going to be a very special brand. There is something about this brand and the aesthetic of the brand and what they do that it just makes me very interested to see what else they're going to do in the future. And I know I'm like overly excited for something I haven't even tried yet, but the brand that we're going to be testing out today is called Musee Beauty, and they sent me their newest palette. I was so thrilled when they reached out to me because I had been eyeing this palette honestly myself, and I'd been this close to buying it. But since they wanted to send it to me, I didn't have to do that, which I'm so grateful for. But I do want to show you the palette because it is absolutely beautiful. This is the Impressionism eyeshadow palette. So it comes in the sleeve like this, and then you take it out, and this is what the palette looks like. So stunning packaging. It is inspired by art, and I will read you a little bit about the brand and the palette while we do some swatches with this, because I do want to just share a little bit more about the brand that I've been reading up on. But let me show you the palette here. So this is what the palette looks like. It's got a beautiful color story. It's got a couple of neutrals, but a lot of color, which obviously speaks to my heart. So I want to read you first what it says on the back of the palette here. So it says Impressionism, and I'm guessing this is the definition of Impressionism, you know, just from what I can kind of gather from this. So it says, an art movement that reflects how light interacts with our world. Meet the Impressionism palette, a versatile collection of shimmers and mattes created for multi-dimensional looks. Play with a balanced collection of cool tones, warm tones, and duochrome shimmer shades inspired by years of Impressionism. Perfect for both daily and editorial makeup looks, this 16 shade palette packed with pigment is sure to turn heads. And it also comes with a little booklet as well as a little slip. So I want to read you what the back of the slip says, because it's just really cute that they send you little things like this, because it just gives you more information about the brand that you maybe wouldn't have looked up yourself. So here it says, meet Musee Beauty. Makeup is an art form and you are an artist. We're creating a makeup brand for creators just like you and us. We make creative makeup more accessible through providing you with easy to apply products so you can create a cool look in the time it takes for you to brew your morning coffee. I mean, I don't agree with that, because my my coffee brewer, my coffee machine is very, very quick at brewing coffee. So I don't think that I could do a makeup look in the same time that it takes to brew my coffee, but either way, it says, we believe makeup should be fun, easy, and above everything else, an extension of yourself. Whether you're a seasoned makeup artist killing it with editorial looks or just getting comfortable with adding more color, we're excited to start this journey with you. And I just think that that is so cool. Not only did it come with that, but they also sent me a t-shirt. They did ask for my size, and I just think that this is fun, so I want to show you. So it's just a very plain white t-shirt, and it says here, be your own canvas, and then you can kind of paint in like the painting or whatever, the drawing on the shirt. I just thought that was really cool. And it also came with like a little booklet here that has a ton of looks and stuff in it, which I just think it's so cool. I'm going to try to show you this in like a little bit of a better angle so you can see what's inside of this, because I love how they did this. I feel like this is also their only product. I want to just mention that, but I feel like this is so well thought out for being like a brand's first release. Like, I also just feel like they are so inclusive. They really stand behind the fact that makeup is just supposed to be fun and artistic, and of course you can you can use it to make yourself look better, but makeup is a form of expression, and I can really appreciate a brand that, you know, understands that. So I can't wait to try this. I do want to just quickly talk a little bit about the swatches of the palette. Now, I was extremely impressed by the pigmentation of all of these, honestly, except for this one green down here. It swatched kind of weirdly. Like, it was really hard to build it up, but I feel like it's going to perform better on the eye. So I'm still excited to, you know, be able to try it out. But all of these other shades seem beautiful. This first top row of like the kind of more neutrally shades, my god, they swatched so well, and the mattes just felt so creamy. Some of the colorful mattes felt a little bit dry to the touch, which is very common, especially this magenta shade and this red. Very, very dry, and also this blue was a little bit dry. The green felt really, really nice. The shimmers are very, very soft and kind of wet to the touch, very creamy. I don't know how they're going to look on the eyes. I feel like with some glitter primer, they're going to really pop. It does say that there are duochromes in here. I'm gonna guess it's these two right here. So this is kind of like a sheer, more of like a topper shade. I don't know if I really see a shift in it though. And then probably this one, which is more of a blue-brown pigment, I guess you could call that. I'm not really sure. We're just gonna have to test them out. So that's obviously what we're going to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base. All right, so what do I want to do with this little baby? I don't know. There are so many shades I want to use. I'm just really excited about this, you guys. I just feel like the color story in this It's just so me. It's so cute. It's so colorful. It's so summery. It's so kind of like soft and airy while still having some depth to it. And I really like the saturation and like the depth of the shimmers in here because they're kind of mid-tone. I love mid-tone shimmers more than anything because that is what I prefer to have on my lid personally. So I feel like all of these are basically lid shades, which is just, it's perfect. It's exactly what I look for in a palette. So let's see. I do want to use this magenta because, you know, I just think it's going to go well with my look. I'm also tempted to use a little bit of the green and the blue. Not really sure how to go about that though. I think what I want to do is I want to do a bit of a three-toned crease just so we can, you know, play around with a lot of these. So I'm first going to go into Parasol here, which is this beautiful, it's almost like a minty green. It's very hard pressed into the pan, so I do have to kind of dig my brush in there. And that's probably why this color swatched very badly, but I feel like it's going to perform a lot better on the eyes. I'm just going to tap out my crease just a little bit here. And I'm gonna go ahead and place this in the first third or so of my crease. Yeah, see, that shows up so much better on my eye, which I kind of expected. And I fully expect these colors to be very, very nice and pigmented. I don't know if I said this in the beginning of the video, but Musee Beauty is a Black-owned brand, and I find that whenever I realize that a brand that I love is Black-owned, it just makes sense because their eyeshadows just tend to be so much more pigmented. And I think that's why I love so many Black-owned brands, because they just know how to make good eyeshadows, or they know how to make eyeshadows that are going to work for every skin tone. And so, of course, if it works for darker skin, it's going to show up very nicely on me. So I just love the pigmentation that I get in these kind of palettes. And it was another reason why I was so excited to try out this brand, because I just had a feeling that they were going to be good. I know I'm like kind of speaking too soon now without having tried this, but I feel like I could tell just from swatching this palette that I'm going to like it. I know that's a very bold statement, but we'll see if I'm right or not. I mean, this went on the eyes super well. I am going to blend some more after, but next up I'm going to go into Almond, and I'm going to put that in the middle of my lid here. And the reason I'm going into the blue next is just color theory wise, it's going to be a lot easier to blend that magenta into a blue than to try to blend it into a green or anything like this. So I'm just going to place that right next to where I put down the green. Again, super nice and pigmented. It goes on the eye very, very nicely. It's nice and opaque. It's not like such a buildable formula that is going to take a while to build up to the pigmentation that you want. And this is the kind of mattes that I really like. I like mattes that go on extremely pigmented, because my technique is more pack on and blend rather than build up slowly. So it just works very well for, you know, how I like to do my eyeshadow. I know a lot of people are the opposite way and they prefer buildable shadows, and that's totally okay. It just depends on, you know, what preferences you have and how you like to do your eyeshadow. But for me, so far, this is exactly what I like in a matte eyeshadow, something that's not going to take forever, which I guess they did say that it would take less time than brewing a cup of coffee, which again, I would challenge that because, like I said, I can make a cup of coffee very quickly. So next up, I'm going to go into the magenta, which is called, how do I say this? Amaranthine? Is that right? I'm pretty sure a lot of these are cities in France. So I'm gonna go into this shadow right here before I butcher it again. I don't know how to speak French, so regardless if I knew how to say it, I would probably still butcher it. So I'm gonna go ahead and place that in the outer portion of my crease. That is such a beautiful color, and I'm gonna blend that into the blue here, creating a bit of a purple. And I'm gonna keep the shape of this quite round because I don't know yet if I want to wing it out, so I'm just gonna leave my options open. But this shadow is so insanely pigmented. Oh, I love it. And it's also blending into this blue very, very nicely. I guess what I'll do is I'll do the same thing under my... I just dropped my brush. I'm gonna do the same thing under my eye that I have in my crease here, because I don't think it's really going to look that great if I do anything else under my eye. I guess what I could do is like maybe do an orange smudged out underneath, but when I do a three-tone crease, I like to just keep it cohesive and do the same thing all around my eye. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna just work on the blend a little bit. I'll fast forward through this so it's not gonna take forever, and then we can go in with some shimmers and see how they look. All right, so I mean, you can see for yourself, that looks so good, and everything blended out super easily, and it even stuck very well. Why do I have a hair on my eye? Everything stuck very nicely underneath my eye, even though it took a little bit longer to build up under my eye because I don't have any eyeshadow primer down there, which totally makes sense. So now let's go into some of these shimmers. I am going to put down some NYX glitter primer because I just want to make these shadows pop as much as possible. So I think what makes the most sense is to kind of do the same shades that I have on my lid here. So for the outer corner of my eye, I'm gonna go into, I think, a little bit of this. Maybe I'll try to layer 4 shadows on my eye today. Usually I would do 3 here, but I want to use a little bit of this just in the very outer corner of my eye. So I'm first gonna go into this, and then I'm gonna move into this one, and then this one, or should I use this one? Maybe this one and then this one, or maybe that one. I don't know, but I'm first gonna start off with this one. I'm obviously first going to put down my glitter primer though. So let's go ahead and do one eye at a time here. I'm just going to put down the glitter primer all over my lid. And I'm gonna switch to another brush, and I'm first gonna dip into Scintillate, I think this shadow is called. And I'm gonna put that in the outer corner of my eye here, like the outer fourth, I guess you could call this. I just want a little bit of like something with depth in the outer corner of my eye. I might have to layer a little bit of a matte over the top of this just so it doesn't look too shimmery, but I just want to try it. So I feel like this is the kind of shade that would shine more if I put it over a bigger surface, because I do think that this is one of those duochromes. But we're gonna leave it at here. I mean, it's a beautiful shade still. So next up, I'm gonna go into, what do I have in my crease? I have blue. So we're gonna go into Starry, which is this one. And I'm gonna place that right next to the shade that I just put down. And I'm also going to try to just gently blend this into my crease a little bit here. So they are nice and pigmented and opaque, but I wouldn't say that they are like super special like a lot of other indie brands that I have in my collection. I really kill it with the shimmers. I feel like so far I'm more impressed by the mattes than I am the shimmers, but the shimmers are really pretty. I just don't really see anything beyond them just being a shimmer, if that makes sense. Let's try out some other ones though. Next up, I'm gonna go into Coast, which is this kind of, I guess I would call it a bit of a minty turquoise. I'm not really sure, but let's try a little bit of that. Just gonna place that right next to that blue. Again, seems like the same kind of formula here. Gonna leave a little bit of room in my inner corner for that kind of whitish duochrome. So they definitely blended very well into each other, and they all seem so far to be pretty much the same formula. I would say the only one that's a little bit different is the bronze shade up here, because when I swatched that, I felt like that one had a little bit more just something going on with it, whereas all of the other shades were quite similar in formula. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this side, and then we can put a little bit of the inner corner shade on. Now let's finish off with Wisp, which was this very kind of light, little bit sheer duochrome shade. I'm gonna just use that as my inner corner highlight. I feel like this is going to be perfect for this. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you really just cannot go wrong with a light shimmer. I feel like it's just so needed in every palette, at least for how I like to do my makeup. And this is doing exactly what I wanted to do, just putting a little bit of extra something in my inner corner. So I think this looks amazing, and what I like so much about this palette is that there are so many mattes that has corresponding shimmers in the colors, which makes it just so easy, and you don't really have to think about it. You can do so many easy looks with this palette, and I think that that's probably what they were going for when they were saying it's going to be quick and effortless and easy and like a no-brainer, you know, like that's how I feel about this palette. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and finish off my eyes. Did I say that? I probably said that in my last outro. Anyway, I'm gonna finish off my eyes, do something on my lips, and then we can do the rest of the face together when I come back, and we can talk a little bit more about this palette. Alright, so this is the eye look all done, and I did put on some lipstick. I'm using one of my Millie Rose lipsticks. This one is in the shade Lulu. I've used this before. I love this. I think it's so beautiful. It's kind of like a satin cream lipstick, but I just think it looks so good. In my waterline, I use the LA Girl Shockwave Neon Liner in Fresh. And then I think for my blush today, I already do have a little bit of bronzer on. I'm using the Mini Bronzing Glow by Natasha Denona. Just love this. I also, of course, have some freckles because I'm sure you've seen that already, but I can't stop. For my blush, I think I want to use this one from Lancome. This one is in the shade Smile and Blush. I know I've used this many times in the past as well, but I love this blush. And I think I'm going to be quite heavy-handed with this because I don't know, I just feel like this look is gonna look good with a lot of blush. I mean, that could be said really for any look ever though, but you know. That looks so cute. I love this. What do I want to do for highlight? I'm thinking I want to use one of my highlighting palettes from Lime Crime because I just haven't used this in a while. I mean, a while for me is like a week because I love this. So I'm going to use one of my absolute favorites. This is the highlighting palette in the shade Opals. And I'm going to grab this first shade here, which is called Peach. Oh, I just love this so much, especially with a look with these kind of colors. I just think it's going to go so well. So I'm going to use a Kaleidos eyeshadow brush to apply this with because I just prefer to use smaller brushes. So this one reminds me a little bit of one of the new highlighters from Kaleidos, the red one, Mars Melter I think it's called. I would say that these are pretty similar, but this one is a little bit more intense. And it just makes for the cutest nose highlight of all time. I'm just gonna take a little bit more of my blush brush. And I think that's going to be the completed look. Do I want to do any brow bone highlight? I think I'm going to skip that today. Now let's talk a little bit more about this palette. So I would say so far I am super impressed by this. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think that the shimmers are like anything out of this world spectacular special, but they're fine, you know, they're okay. Like they look good, you know, but I don't feel like they have like that special multi-dimensional, you know, thing that they were talking about on their website. I don't feel like that, but I do feel like they're pretty, and I'm still very, very happy to have this palette. And I think I'm already going to commit to doing more looks with this because I had such a good time playing with this palette. It seemed so effortless. The mattes are amazing. I can't wait to play with this again. I feel like this is going to become one of my favorite palettes, honestly, even if the shimmers aren't like as unique and special as some other shimmers that I have in my collection. But for me, if I can get foolproof mattes, like that is so much more important to me than having like the most special shimmers, and very few brands can deliver on both fronts. So I will always choose good mattes over good shimmers if I'm like, you know, trying to figure out which eyeshadow palette I'm going to use, because the mattes are, for me with my hooded eyes, the only thing that shows when my eyes are open. So if my mattes aren't looking good, the eye look isn't going to look good. So I am totally okay with the shimmers not being like, you know, insanely crazy, but I think that they are good still. And the mattes, like I was saying, are so nice. I love the color story in this palette. I like where the brand is going, and I like, there's something about this brand that I just feel like they are going to be big. I feel like they're going to make it. I feel like whatever they come out with next is going to be very well thought out, is going to be very well presented, and that is something that a lot of indie brands don't do as good as this brand does, because I have never seen an eyeshadow palette come with so much information and just, like, I feel like I know this brand already, and that can't be said for a lot of the brands that, you know, I've used in the past and I've tried. So far, I would definitely recommend them if you've been looking for maybe, you know, supporting a new Black-owned brand. I would say that you wouldn't be disappointed if you had this palette, and that is just for my first impression. But I can confidently say that I would definitely recommend this palette if you think that this is something that you would like. And I'm definitely going to do more looks with this. If I'm gonna do 2 or 3, I haven't yet decided, but I will for sure do some more looks because I am just very inspired and I want to play more with this. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. As always, if you want to see some more first impression videos, here's a few more. And if you're new, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.